Obsession, Part 1, by Sea Urchin. It's okay if you can't do magic, Anon, Twilight tells you. She smiles, as do all the other rainbow-colored ponies behind her. You are just a human, after all. Nobody expects anything like that out of you. Of course, it always comes down to this, doesn't it? Just leave the hero work to us. We'll bring you back a souvenir. You hold your hand up, weakly waving goodbye as the main 6 equine girls trot off, disappearing past the horizon. Another adventure is what they would have. Another day saved is the story they would tell upon returning home. Another bottle of beer is what you would open up and not drink, because pony beer is basically hay-flavored water. You grab the green glass bottle and pop the top off, letting the scent waft into your nose, as you sit back on the red chair and stare into the fire. Here you are, Anon, the only human in all of Equestria, the sole symbol of humanity, and you're reduced to waiting around for a few girls to save the world. Boy, Dad sure would be proud. If there's one thing going for you, it's that you're the only being in the whole world to be 100% truly and utterly magicless. That's special, right? The next day, the mares arrive in Ponyville. They're met with a huge crowd that smiles, greets them, the whole 9 yards. You opt to stay in the back of it, quiet, until the extra ponies leave. Once alone with the elements of harmony, you give them a small smile and ask how their trip was. It was simply wonderful, darling. You should have been there. I reckon I ain't never seen a landscape as pretty as that one. Well, 'cept Sweet Apple Acres, of course. Of course. Now you wouldn't think it, but the Earth ponies actually have quite a bit of magic flowing through them. Unlike a unicorn that is able to channel their power into spells, it resides in an Earth pony's muscles, supercharging them. That little tidbit was told to you by Twilight, when you voiced your amazement at Applejack's feats of strength. See any cool monsters? Oh, a few. Like dragons? No dragons. I did meet a very nice manticore, though. Nice is such a strong word, don't you think, Fluttershy dear? Least he didn't go trying to scoop us up for a snack. They begin walking, recounting their tales, leaving you behind. Well, I'll save Twilight, who grabbed your shirt and tugged on it to get your attention. Hey, wanna go for a walk? She asked. One nod later, you're both heading down the beaten dirt path on the edge of Ponyville. The sun is high overhead, making the entire emerald field leading down to Apple Pond visible. So, what'd you do while we were away? Oh, you know. Twilight shakes her head. Well, it was a lot of... Your voice trails off. Sitting, brooding, reading. Oh, hey! I read. Her ears perk up at that, and you can already tell what her next question is. Before she has a chance to open her mouth, you answer her. Just some old books on unicorns. Odd subject matter. Well, who doesn't like to learn? The walk continues on in silence for a bit. The sound of your feet and her hooves tapping on the ground force you unconsciously to synchronize your walking. You're sure it's all spoiled when she begins talking again. Look, Anon, I know you're upset. Upset? No, I'm relaxed. This is nice. I know that you want to go with us sometimes, but it's just that... It's that I have no magic. You're soft and frail. Yeah, I know. I'm reminded often. I just don't want to think of what could happen to you out there. I wish you could be happy here. You've done a lot for yourself, you know, all things considered. There's not a being alive that can say they built their own house and can sustain life, all magic-free. If only you had Pinky's party cannon. Twilight stops. You halt and turn around to face her. Not every pony's meant to be an adventurer. Sometimes they're meant for smaller, nicer things. Have you ever considered teaching? Smaller? You're a small guy. Oh, you could run a daycare, too. I know you like foals. Smaller? A smile rolls off her face as she rattles off the worthy professions she deems you'd be capable of. One single word is all you hear, though. It drowns out her voice, echoing in your mind. Smaller. After a while, Twilight seems to be satisfied with her little speech and smiles at you. She's clearly awaiting a response. You want to tell her to take her advice and stuff it where the sun don't shine, but despite her phrasing, you're sure her heart was in the right place. Destined for smaller things. Maybe. What the hell? You've got nothing to lose, you guess. I'll give it a shot. Great! Her horn begins to glow and overfloats a small yellow flower wrapped in a similar lavender aura. You blink a few times at it, then her. Oh, oops! Twilight giggles, putting you somewhat at ease. Sorry, I forgot. It's no problem. Not a problem at all. You're used to being reminded by now. Look, if it's all the same to you, I think I'll head back home. Oh, okay, she says, defeated. Hey, relax, it's nothing you did. You lean down and pat her on the head. It's warm, especially near her horn. You can almost feel the magic buzzing inside her. I'll see you later? Of course. We live in a town of 30 ponies. How long do you expect to go without seeing me? Another giggle escapes her lips. Bidding her farewell, you head back off home. You're destined for smaller things, apparently. You're halfway home when you come across the schoolhouse. Fillies and colts run around aimlessly, chatting about this and that. Managing to overhear one conversation, you deduce that the parenting skills of some of these ponies is severely lacking. Lord Almighty knows, your children would never speak like that. Just maybe, you whisper, letting the words play on your lips as the matching thought does in your mind. What's the worst that could happen? You approach the gates. Your presence alerts the teacher, a magenta mare by the name of Cheerilee. Hi there, Anon. How's the day treating you? Well, thank you. You pause for a second. The scene in the background is amusing, almost enough to pull your attention from the teacher, but just almost. So I know this might sound a little strange coming from the closest thing Ponyville has to a hermit, but I'm looking for work. Oh, really? She stares at you blankly. And I thought since you always seem to be so busy with the kids, you trail off. The light dawns on her. Oh, you meant here. Yeah, so what do you say? You need an extra set of hands? I don't know, she replies, squinting. Cheerilee examines you head to toe. It's hard work. I don't know if you can handle it without any magic. For the love of... You force a smile and shrug. Kids are kids no matter where you go. I'm sure it's nothing I couldn't handle. The teacher rubs her chin in thought. Come on, haven't you always wanted a teacher's aide? Maybe you could take those coffee breaks you've always wanted. How did you know about those? You hear a lot of things lugging wheelbarrows across town. Hey, it's not easy keeping a house warm, especially when ambient magic in the air seeps into the ground and hardens the trees. The walnut around here is tough as a rock maple. I guess it couldn't hurt to put you on a trial. Yeah, see, it couldn't hurt. Alright, come on in. Removing your hands from your pockets, you unlock the gate and enter. A few of the foals stop their playing to greet you, then immediately go back to whatever they were previously doing. Cheerilee leads you inside, where she shows you around the entire one room. That corner is the timeout corner, that corner is where we keep the books, that corner is the arts and crafts corner, and this corner, she says gesturing to a large desk, is my corner. You've put a lot of thought into this. Funny. Anyway, as you can see, it's been a while since we cleaned in here. She rubs her hoof against the floor, kicking up a cloud of dust. If you could get to tidying up, that'd be great. Tidying up? I thought I'd be, helping to teach. Teach? She scoffs. Anon, you don't have a degree. Goodness, you don't even have magic. I don't need that to clean. Well, why don't you show me then? Cleaning a schoolhouse. This isn't what you had in mind when you thought smaller. Fuck you. Being a janitor is about as small as it gets. You eye the juice spots on the floor and trace the cobwebs lining the upper walls. Anonymous, the only human in all of Equestria, reduced to a janitor. You could walk out right now, leave the schoolhouse behind, and find a new job. You gave your word, though, didn't you? What kind of example to your race would you be if you walked out on a job you'd had for 10 goddamn seconds? Where's the broom? You mutter. Look at the bright side. There's only one other employee here. The upward potential is amazing. You snatch a broom out of the old supply shed behind the schoolhouse. In there you also find a spool, a bucket, and a scrub brush. What do you know? It's everything you need. One party wants to leave them in here so you don't have to take the time to work to go get them, but the winning side prefers efficiency and productivity, so you end up lugging everything inside. By the time you've begun your task, the students have returned from class. Cheerilee greets them individually and prepares for class. Now, children, take out your textbooks and open to page 34. We're going to learn about division today. Ha! Have fun. Miss Cheerilee, why is Anon sweeping the floor? Shouts an overzealous yellow child. Well, if you must know, Anon is my new assistant. Wait, assistant? Isn't that a step up from janitor? You smile and wave to her, proud of your accomplishment so early on. But Miss Cheerilee, he doesn't have any magic. Apple Bloom, he's right behind you. Apple, a small white apple horse, unfamiliar to Applejack in every way, save her coat color, jumps at your voice and whips around to see you. Yeesh, don't sneak up on people like that. You're where I need to clean. You gesture to a spot of filth on the floor just underneath her chair. And I don't need magic to work. I think I'm managing fine so far. You don't need that crap to sweep. Ponies have it in their heads that anything without magic is helpless. Yeah, well, you're not helpless. You've done well enough for yourself so far. You're just the only one who seems to be able to see that. The good teacher stomps her hoof, regaining the attention of her students again. You still need to get that pile under her chair, so you tap Apple Bloom with the broom and encourage her to move. She scooches her chair forward, giving you access. This is a process you continue for the rest of the division lesson, and all the dust in the class has been collected in the time out of the corner. At that point, you grab the stool and the feather duster and get to work on the cobwebs. This ends up taking longer than you thought it would. Cobwebs in Equestria are significantly stronger than on Earth, so you have to really wrestle with them to make any progress. After sufficient embarrassment on your part, the task and the school day have finished. Now for those nasty stains. You grab a scrub brush out of your little water bucket and sink down to your knees. There's a certain orange stain you've been eyeing and it needs to go. Vigorously, you assault it with your brush, leaning all your weight into it. It's not really disappearing. You'll need a powerful cleaning solution. Anon, you hear Cheerilee's voice call to you. You prepare to stand, but when you look up from the floor and see her only inches away, you opt out. Funny though, with you kneeling, she's almost at eye level. You've done a wonderful job today, despite my expectations. What's that supposed to mean? When you're finished scrubbing, you can go home. Come back at 6 o'clock tomorrow and I'll show you what you need to be doing for the day. Thank you, Cheerilee. And thank you, the school hasn't looked this neat in years. Nice, Anon. Real nice. You collect some soap from the supply shed with renewed willpower and destroy that stain completely. You retreat home when the sun is still high in the sky with 10 bits in your pocket. The first bits you've ever had. Gazing out the window of your abode, you reminisce on when you planted your first garden. The ponies were shocked to see anything grow without a special Earth Pony touch, but you didn't have a job and you didn't want to starve, so the garden had to work. Luckily, your father had a green thumb and taught you all about that junk before he passed away. Well, you don't have a need for bits, so you just throw them in a drawer. Maybe one day something will catch your fancy and you can buy it with whatever you've saved. In the meantime, it's time to throw some wood onto the fireplace and light that bad boy up, do some reading. What's on the shelf for tonight? Having finished your book on unicorn physiology, you decide unicorn history would be nice and pull it down. The first few chapters is talk about boring shit nobody cares about, like the first pony settlement and the materials used and all that jazz. The next one, chapter 4, discusses what you're really interested in. How did unicorns react when they first learned that they could channel magic through their horns? Apparently not well. Some of them went mad with power and tried to rule the world. All 3 tribes worth of it. They were stopped by some good Samaritans who later decided that their good deeds owned them the throne of the world. Wow, you mutter. Unicorns are dumb. By chapter 20, after 3 unicorn empires rose and fell in the span of 15 years, it seems the ponies decided they needed a better leader, one more suited to ruling all 3 races. They pooled their power and endowed the most worthy of them, an earth pony named Light Charger, with the greatest attributes of all 3 of the pony races. He was reborn as the first alicorn. It's at that point you notice that the candlelight is the only thing helping you read, and it's pitch dark out. You turn your eye to the candlestick and examine the colored wax strips along its length. The flame is eaten down to 3 strips from the bottom, so it's 3 hours to midnight. Considering you need to be up early, you deem it best to head off to bed. The next day, you arrive at the schoolhouse to meet Shirley at the gates. Morning! Morning. You push the gate open and let her pass. Thanks. Yep. You follow her, closing the entrance behind you, and enter the schoolhouse. You did a wonderful job yesterday. I don't even remember what color the trim was until you cleaned those webs. It was pretty cool of you to do all that. Yeah, you did a pretty nice job. Take some pride in it, Anon. The teacher leans over to the cupboard lining in the leftmost wall. It reaches just barely to your hips, and you have a bad feeling there's going to be a lot of bending today. She slides open one of the doors and reveals what's inside. Books. Lots of books. They're dirty, some tattered and strewn about, like nobody cared when they threw them inside if they might land funny and bend a few pages. Horrible. Terrible. You shudder to think about a library looking like this cupboard. As you can see, we could use some help in here. I'd like you to go through and neaten all this up. Is this just one part? She shakes her head and trots along the edge of the cupboard. That is, the whole wall opening up every door and showing more books in the same disarray as the first part. The one on the other side as well, she says, pointing to the rightmost wall. All right, yeah, no problem. Don't let me down, Anon. You're on a roll so far, she giggles. You set yourself down, crisscross applesauce, and begin pulling the books from the shelves. Moving along the length of the cupboard, you empty out all the books and grab a washcloth to wipe the shelves down. Then you do the same with the dirty books. Those that are more physically beaten are easily repaired with tape and, in some rare cases, staples. Everything else is easy as putting them back. Well, it was easy until you read their titles. Easy adding 1, 2, 3 and advanced writing skills did not belong on the same shelf. You picked up the other books and began to examine them as well. There was quite a jump in subject matter here. You could tell cheerily about it and see what she wants you to do, or you could take the initiative and do what you want, then impress her later. Maybe you'd get promoted from assistant to assistant teacher. Yeah, let's go with that. You move to the other side of the room, now hugging the walls, and your travels to the center is filled up with young learning ponies, and do the same as you did on the left wall. The cupboard is empty, cleaned, and the books are repaired. Then you begin working on organization. It's a simple but beautiful system you are excited to show your boss at the end of the day. Huh, boss. You didn't think you'd be saying that anymore after Earth. So I split the books up into their subject matters. Left wall is practical skills, right wall is creative skills. I also have them arranged by age so the older fillies and colts don't have to dig through the cupboards to find a relevant book. Wow, and you did all this in a day, too? Thank you. Not bad for someone with no magic. Looks like you don't need magic for everything, you snap. Besides, it's not like Earth Pony strength would have helped with this. I think I did just fine, magic or no magic. After a second, you catch your tone and apologize. What was that about? It's nothing. I'm sorry. Cheerily eyed you curiously, but didn't go anywhere since she just shrugged and handed you another 10 bits. Same time tomorrow, Anon. Actually, before I go, I was wondering if I could take a book. Which one? You moved to the left side of the room and opened up the now dubbed history section. Removing the very last book, you held it up to her. A study on the history of magic and its practical uses as identified by Scribble Scrabbler? Who's going to read this old thing anyway? Well, I suppose it couldn't hurt to lend it out. Just make sure to bring it back when you're done. Will do. Thanks, cheerily. No problem. See you tomorrow. You depart and race home to crack this bad boy open. Once again, the sun is high when you make it back home. It was 3 o'clock when you left school, and it probably took 5 minutes to get home. So when you take a new strip of the candle to light it, you make sure to start it at the 9 mark. Finally, after depositing your bits into the money drawer, you sit down on your comfy red chair and open up the new book. Scribble Scrabbler introduces himself and gives a list of reasons, with each point lasting 1 or 2 pages as to why he decided to write this book. According to him, magic is the foundation of society. It's what allowed the ponies to rise up from the fields and build their pens. It's a boring read, but you trudge through it to tell the good stuff. Chapter 1. An Insight into Primitive Magic. This book seems to cover a much greater length of history than the unicorn book you began yesterday. Whereas that covered the beginnings of traditional spells, this one encompasses magic uses by all the races. Earth ponies are the first mention. Scrabbler writes of their amazing strength and how their ability to work day in and day out made them desirable mates. Makes sense, you thought. Earth ponies outnumber the other races 30-1. Not surprising if their genes were top shelf back in the day. Then it speaks of Pegasi and how they discovered they could manipulate the weather as well as fly. They began to make much more integral role in the formation of society. Farms began to expand and cover vast regions as the Pegasi made sure Earth ponies always had optimal conditions for their work. All the while, the unicorns sat around and mostly watched, feeding off the other 2 races like a parasite. Chapter 2 talks about how one day, a certain unicorn by the name of Blackmane, later dubbed Blackmane the Great, was tired of being a useless, resource-absorbing prick. He offered his services to the Earth ponies and found that he was totally inept at every task given to him. Out of frustration, he imagined a flying plow through the air and shattering against a tree. To his surprise, it did. You raise an eyebrow. Awfully convenient. Well, he probably embellished the story after becoming the Great. You doubt it was as easy as that. Whatever, not your book. You continue to read Scrabbler's words. The rest of the chapter is Blackmane trying to recreate the event and failing each time. Chapter 3 tells of a horrifically cold winter. The ponies risked freezing to death as none of them had thought to install doors or heating in their little horse sheds. You chuckle at the stupidity here. Yeah, that sounds like something they'd do. Ponies aren't real forward thinkers. Anyway, Blackmane saw that his people were dropping by huge numbers, so he gave the old telekinesis another go, and fell a tree which served to make a nice fire and warm them all up that night. He thought he got the hang of things by then and began to use magic more and more. When he was famous enough, he opened a school to teach others how to move objects with their minds. Now, it's obvious, but back then everyone was surprised when they found out only unicorns had this talent. After years of teaching, one of Blackmane's students decided to try some new magic instead of the same old moving thing. The success with that new spell sparked centuries of unicorn experimentation as they tried to figure out all sorts of new ways to utilize magic. Nice. 13 chapters later, you find the candle is down to the 3-strip mark again. You bookmark your spot and head off to sleep, eager to get more reading done after work tomorrow. Alrighty guys, that was the first part of Obsession. I'm not really sure how long this one's going to be. It's a pretty long fix, so I'll just throw out a guess, 10, 15 parts maybe. So I haven't been uploading lately. I'm going to have a schedule now. I'll be uploading every Friday. I might do random uploads here and there, but I will have a new chapter up every Friday. I really appreciate you guys being here with me. Even after not posting anything for a couple weeks, I gained like 60 or 70 subscribers, so I really appreciate all the continued support, guys. Stay awesome, and take it easy.